Oh, hey there, listeners. I didn't see you there. It's Murph. It's been a while since you've been hearing my voice. Uh, yeah, it's just the next DD Cast episode that I'm meant to be on, the one with Dead Space, has been pushed back a couple times to do various and sundry, personal conflicts, scheduling conflicts. I went off to Ireland for a whole ass quarter of a month. So, yeah, in that time, I've just accrued a lot of games I've played that I would normally talk about in the What You Playin' section. And I figure, rather than me talking about, a bunch of games in the next episode, I might as well just, talk about them here and then keep the fresh stuff for the Dead Space episode. So that's what I'm gonna talk about here. Just some games I've played in the interim. Mostly indies. One kind of triple A-ish, double A-ish game. I'm not really sure how we'll qualify it, but we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. So we're gonna start off talking about Jellycar Worlds. Yes, this is the game that you grew up with on browser many moons ago. I personally never played any of the Jellycar games. I only became aware of this because I played it at PAX. The last PAX West I was at. I wrote about it on the Twin Geeks. You can go, I'll put the link in the description or something. But this is the full release. I played it on Switch. This game is so endlessly charming, so endlessly fun. I'm watching the gameplay right now just to kind of, keep it fresh in my mind as I talk about it, and I'm just watching with, a big smile on my face. This game is so cute and so immediately accessible. All you really do is you have, you have your reverse, and you can kind of tilt the car. And your car is made of jelly, it's very soft, it can get squished, it can get crunched up, and nothing bad will happen to it. You can only really fail by falling out of the level. And you just kind of go through these different obstacle courses with gears and sliding blocks and levers and, various fun physics. And you're just trying to find the fastest way to the end. And through each world, you'll encounter some power-ups that do things like grow the size of your car, or make your tires sticky so you can run on walls, or give you a balloon so you can float up, and a grapple gun. And it's all very fun and inventive, and there's some really great puzzle courses. I go buy this game. Genuinely, this is one of the times I'm just, flat out, everyone should love this game. I don't want to meet the person that doesn't love this game. All the car sound effects, the Foley is done by the dev. Just, making car noises, just going vroom, and stuff like that. The music's all a bop. It's all sourced from, as far as I can tell, all the previous Jellycar games. I mean, I picked it up on sale for, a cool $6, and I feel like I robbed the dev, because I've been watching some of his devlogs making the game. He's a really sweet guy, and I actually met him at PAX. He gave me a flip book, and a little animated flip book. Other things, just for the longevity of the game, every level has, bonus secret objectives you can do. There's, a time trial mode where you race the dev. You can customize your car, physically, draw your own design for the car and the wheels, and slap emojis on the antenna and stuff. It's a great game. I know I've been saying this a lot of the episodes, but I would be very shocked if this didn't make my end of the year list. It's been a very strong year so far. Next game I'm gonna talk about is gonna be another game I played over vacation. I'm gonna talk about Tinykin. So Tinykin isn't quite what you think it is. It's not Pikmin. It is Pikmin, but it's not. But it's Pikmin only in concept. The idea is that you are a human shrunk down in this house, and you have these little creatures, these little bug boys that follow you around. And yes, they're color-coded, and each color has different things they can do. But that's kind of where the similarities with Pikmin end. What this game is entirely about is the exploration. This game has no combat. It really doesn't have, even puzzles. But that does mean it can put everything into that exploration. This is a collectathon. You play a human named Milodane, who, in this really kind of unneeded opening cutscene, which is like the only time he speaks. He's like from this microplanet, and he talks about finding the origins of humanity, and he gets in this machine and zaps himself into this Earth house that is overtaken by these different like species of bugs that have built a little society out of the remnants of humanity. And he needs to find various components to make a new ship and get his way home. Again, it's only like Pikmin in concept. There's no day-night cycle or anything. And so what you have is, there's like 5 levels, and these are big levels. Like, they're not just wide, but they're also tall, made out of like a lot of different components. You know what it really reminds me of is those I Spy books that were everywhere in like early 2000s elementary schools. I obsessed with the photography and design of those books. Like this one here I'm putting on screen. This balloon popping machine like lives rent free in my head, and I've always like wanted to be like a shrunken down little Ant-Man, a little figurine, and just exploring that. And this game fulfills that for me like 5-fold. This game's level design is incredible, and it's so like fun and varied. Like you'll enter a room that's like, I don't know, like the kitchen area, and it's like, okay, I know what to expect in like a kitchen. Like you're shrunk down in a kitchen, ooh. But then you like can like open these little rooms, and it's like, oh, here's a whole little like bug nightclub hidden under the sink and stuff like that. In each level, you have about like 1,000 grains of pollen to find, and for every like 900, 800, it kind of varies on the level, you'll get an upgrade to your soap glider. You can like project a bubble of soap around yourself, and that gives you a glide. You also have a bar of soap you can ride around on like a Tony Hawk skateboard and do like sick grinding and tricks and stuff. And it's really fast to move around here. There's not really fail states. Like, you can die, but that's only really from, like, falling from a high place without, like, being, like, gliding. Or, like, getting in water. Milo can't get in water because his suit will self-destruct. But if you die, you just immediately respawn right where you were. There's no, like, real loss. The Tinykin are really only used for, like, getting past barriers. It's kind of a Metroidvania in a way. The Tinykin don't carry between levels. Each level has its own, like, set amount. And you just kind of run up to their pods, and they'll pop out automatically. Pink ones can pick stuff up. Red ones blow stuff up. Green ones, which are my favorite, you can just, like, they'll make towers where you stand. And you can just, like, kind of use that to sequence break. That's really fun. Blue ones connect electricity. They're the most, like, explicitly, like, this is only used to get past, like, a doorway kind of a Tinykin. And then yellow ones make ramps. And that kind of feels a little half-baked, admittedly. But, you know, it's all fun, and you can have, like, you know, about 100 each of these guys following you around. And how the level design kind of works is you'll be exploring and then come across, like, an obstacle, like, oh, you need to carry this from here to there, and that needs 30 of the pink Tinykin. But you're like, I only have 25, so you gotta go explore more and, like, find 5 more somewhere in the level. And that's how it works. And there's other things you can collect, various artifacts, which do have very goofy, like, Pikmin-style descriptions for them, but those are entirely optional. There are races, which are only done once you've completed the level's, like, main objective. And those are dick hard. These are very hard, like, speed run races. Like, the very first level, I beat what they called the Junior Wasp race, which is like the baby mode race. I was only able to get like a gold on that after close to 2 hours of trying, and then on like the adult Wasp race, I was only able to get a silver. I have no idea how I'm supposed to optimize to get a gold. So, you know, it's a very pleasant game. Like, this is just a game you turn on and you lose an hour, but you're not sad about it. Another thing I want to give attention to is the sound design. Because you're shrunk down and you're walking across all these, like, cobbled together structures made out of various things like binders, musical instruments, books, shelves. Milo Dane's steps all sound different on these. like very dynamically different. And that's like such a huge, like, I don't know. I really keyed in on that. And I really appreciate that because I was a guy who I would get all my action figures and I'd build like these little battlefields, and like the sound of an action figure stepping across a dictionary sounds very different from a one stepping across an empty binder, and I don't know, it unlocked a memory for me. I give Tinykin a pretty big thumbs up, especially for kids. This would be a great game for kids. I don't think it really gets any sort of difficult or confusing until the very last stage. I definitely got lost. It's the most like visually interesting and fun stage, but it can be very hard to like signpost where you're supposed to be going. I guess that's really the only detraction. Oh, and the ending is a little weak and weird. It's definitely very weird. It ends on this very dour feeling note. But other than that, like, again, this is another strong contender for my, like, game of the, like, I don't think it's game of the year, but definitely gonna be, mid-bottom 5, I feel like. Let's stop with the praise for a minute and talk about a shitpost game that I played because it seemed like it would be funny for me to talk about. So this is a game called Savior's Gang. So this is a video game. It's also a little like Pikmin, but you are Jesus post-crucifixion, and God is attempting to destroy the world because he's so mad, and you have to lead your disciples out of the promised land and try to find safe harbor as the world is filled with dangerous traps and crumbling around you. This is a comedy game. This is like a riff on religion, but it's not really structured in any way. Like, okay, here's the level of comedy in this game, is while you are going through these levels, off to your left, there's a group chat between Jesus, his dad, his stepdad, which is Joseph, and Stan, who is Satan, and Jesus is, like, sending memes and stuff, and God is represented by a pigeon. Yeah. I don't know if the memes are present on every version, because I'm fairly certain, like, some of these are, like, licensed images. So your mileage of comedy may vary depending on the storefront you buy this from. The gameplay is that you are a white blot on the ground, and you just have this mob of people that follow it autonomously. You can't really direct them. You can sort of gesture where you want them to go, and you just gotta lead them through these obstacle courses of bridges over spikes and buzzsaws, and it's not a game that's, like, meant to be good, and I don't really know how to justify that. Yeah, like, you're looking at the gameplay right now. Like, when your peeps die, they'll say stuff like, "I'm coming, peepo," or meme references. Look, I bought this for like $2 on the Switch. I beat it in maybe 2 hours. Not like one sitting, like little 30-minute sittings, because I can't really bear to play this game for more than like 10-20 minutes. But there's only like 15 levels. I think it was $2 worth. I'll say it's $2 worth just for the what the fuck factor. Like, when you finish the game, when you finish a level, it pops up your ranking depending on how well you Jesus. And, like, the A rank is called Fucker Savior. And I think that's, like, the most... That's, like, the extent of the game's comedy. It's alright. Like, if you're the kind of person that just gets, like, a little bit of a chuckle out of a $2 game, I think it sits at that tier. It will not be making my end of the year list. It has about as much effort put into it as money I paid for it. And that's the best I can say. Okay, gonna be talking about another game. We're gonna be talking about Feist. This is another very short game, like shockingly short. This is one of them there, like 2D silhouette platformer games. Of the style of like Inside or Limbo. A Limbo-like, I guess is what I could best describe it as. You play a little tribble, a little furball in the woods, and your mate gets captured by some big tribbles, some trolls, and you gotta go rescue them. And you can hop, you can run, you can pick up stuff, and everything in the forest is out to kill you and eat you. There are traps laid by the trolls, and various dangerous critters. And you know what? It's another one that's just all right. I think the early levels are the best in terms of atmosphere and like the sense of danger and foreboding. Like that's when you're dealing with a lot of traps, and the traps are kind of like concealed, and you like cross a tripwire and like go uh-oh, and then 30 arrows rain down and instantly kill your critter. It's a lot of trying to like, the game wants you to be like sort of the underdog using your environment to overcome adverse odds, so you can use those tripwire traps and sort of lure enemies into them, and then they trip them, get hit by the arrows, and they die. Or you can like use some of the local flora and fauna that's dangerous and turn it against each other. You can pick up these like flies that shoot spears, and you can pick them up and kind of use them as like a gun. Or you can be sneaky. Your little guy's light enough to hop on tree branches and kind of hop over the heads of these more dangerous trolls. In the combat itself is very frenetic and like physics-based. Like you can really, if you want to go into melee, all you really have is a stick, and the big guys can just pick you up and punch you, or just pick you up and eat you. The music was good. I'll give the music credit, but ultimately, I don't know if I have, like, that much glowing praise. This is another game kind of like Final Station, where it sat on my Steam wishlist for a while because I thought it looked cool. I feel like it genuinely could have done better being longer. It doesn't feel like... You know how people like to praise how there's never a mechanic that overstays its welcome? Here it feels like a lot of mechanics didn't even cross the threshold of the front door. And I when I was done, I was very much like, oh, that's it? I thought I was, like, nearing the halfway point. Yeah, it's fine. I don't think I recommend a purchase on it, though, which is unfortunate. I never like saying that for these kind of smaller indie games, but it is what it is. Okay, so now the bigger game of the bunch. I've had a hole in my life for an RPG, not necessarily an RPG. I feel like I haven't gotten immersed in a, like, new fantasy world for a while. Like, something with, like, a completely different word for magic other than magic. Some, like, newfangled races I haven't seen before. Something with 30 different ways to say king, but not king. And so I decided to get into a CRPG, and my CRPG of choice was Pillars of Eternity. I haven't beaten this game. I'm kind of at the 2/3 point. Just started the DLC. But I've got 16 hours in it, so I feel like good enough to give some impressions right now, especially because I'm on a pause with it right now. So Pillars definitely gives me a throwback to playing Dragon Age Origins, and I have played a lot of Dragon Age Origins. I have played, like, my credentials right there, I have played every origin in Dragon Age Origins all the way through, so I've also done every romance you can do, and chosen basically every major, like, decision, class, subclass you can do. Like, I've done, like, the whole game, all the way through. And this game, like, definitely evokes that to me more than anything else. I think it was even made by some ex-devs. It's by Obsidian, who, are known for their RPGs and their RPG writing, and the writing here is very good. It does have that sort of very novelistic feel to it. The combat is real-time, but you can pause it to issue orders, and luckily it's balanced enough that you don't need to be doing that for every encounter. A lot of the times when you're just out exploring, you can just let your guys go and mob, like, the one enemy that gets in your way, and they'll finish it off just fine. For some of the bigger fights, there is a bit of strategy, though admittedly I'm playing on a lower difficulty. Just because I wanted to experience the story more than anything right now, and for these kinds of games, I'm just not... There's a lot of stats and a lot of statuses, and I'm just not in the place in my life where I can memorize all those different cascading effects and statuses and such. So forgive me for playing on the easier difficulty and having my view of the combat skewed by that. That said, I'm still not good at the combat, so I'm still losing a bunch of fights. So there's that. What I like about this game is that it lets you go around with 6 members in your party. I feel like the default for a lot of games like these is you have like 4 people, but having 6 and then having them all like, you know, talk to one another, having like opinions with one another. That's all great. That's the shit I love about Dragon Age, is the party, and I don't think it was ever done much better than it was in Dragon Age Origins. And the party here is very diverse. Like, the wizard you get is like, it has like a sort of, I don't want to say, he has like a multi-personality thing going on where he's got the prim and proper version of himself, and then the very shrill-voiced, vulgar Cockney part of himself that spits out insults and tells people to fuck their mothers. He's a very fun character. He's voiced by Matt Mercer. Both personalities of the characters voiced by Matt Mercer. And then there's another character in your party who's also voiced by Matt Mercer, and that Matt Mercer wants to fuck the Matt Mercer that's possessing the other Matt Mercer. And that's a fun character dynamic. Shockingly, this game doesn't have romance options, which kind of threw me for a loop. Like, as soon as I was like 10 hours in, I was like, okay, which ones, who are my options? Who are my options for spending the rest of my life with? And it turns out that's not really a thing until the sequel. But I do like this world. It immediately like sets up this scenario, because, you know, every high fantasy world kind of has its gimmick, and in this one it's souls. People can, like, manipulate souls, and, like, reincarnation of souls is a thing. You can become possessed by past versions of yourself. And there's an issue going around where children are being born without souls. They're hollow-born. And you yourself are kind of getting possessed by past versions of yourself. And you can see people's past lives. And that's, like, a really fun mechanic where you can go up to people and see their past lives and learn more about them. I think, if I had to say I had a major issue with the game, you know, it's a game where you can pick up, like, anything. There's no inventory limit, and you make most of your money, like, looting your enemies' dead bodies and selling it all back. The issue is I haven't really found, like, any worthwhile weapons and armor. Pretty much all your companions start with unique weapons and armor that it's taken me a long time to, like, find anything worth replacing that. So pretty much all your pickups are going to your character. So you're not really building an arsenal, it doesn't feel like. One of the nifty things is that you get a keep. Very early on, you get like a keep, and you can upgrade that and like build defenses and stuff. You can go, there's a whole side quest about going to battle, and you have to like recruit factions to join you in battle. That's all really cool and fun. And it's a fantasy game with guns. That's cool. You can like dual wield pistols. That's great fun. That's great fun. I like it. That's like, I think you consider it kind of like AA-ish. I'm gonna play more CRPGs in the future. I think Brogan's right. I think this is the year of like JRPGs and computer games for the Daydream cast. So yeah, this has been Murph Plays Too Many Games. You know, like, comment, subscribe if there's, like, support for this. Maybe I can do more in the future, next time there's a bit of a lull between casts. But otherwise, you know, be good humans out there. And, may Arceus hold you in the palm of his hand.